Hey guys, episode 48 of the stock portfolio series. Good week this week, up about 4,000. Mostly seems to have come in the ISA and the invest account. These two sort of up a couple £100. But Polymetal, interestingly, has gone past the payment date for their dividend. So while I've sort of got this temporarily all in Polymetal, one of the ISAs, then I think I've got £1,300 coming in here, and then a bit more in the ISA, in the Trading212 ISA. So yeah, that'll be coming soon. Hopefully there won't be any hiccups when transferring that to IG, and I can just reinvest that in the GDXJ and the GDX and the silver ones. So yeah, happy with that. So looking at the ISA, it's been a pretty good week, up about 2,000 on the ISA. Most of this has come from Argo blockchain recovering. The ArcPi is sort of trickling up a little, just recovering a little. So it's not too bad, but still wanting to sort of put some more in that while it's low, hopefully in the next couple of months maybe. Reits are doing pretty well, just sort of broadly up, so very happy with those. Can't really put too much more in those just yet. Argo blockchain, as I say, sort of quite a heavy recovery this week, 34% nearly, so pretty good. The Bitcoin ETP, Argo had sort of quite a more severe move than Bitcoin itself, so the Bitcoin ETP's just down a little. That's not too bad. Sentiment took quite a hit. Gold and silver haven't really taken quite this much of a hit, so I guess this is just more concerns over them specifically. They've got a few issues with their mines, and yeah, they just take a bit of a hit sometimes. I haven't really looked into the news too much. Yeah, as I say, sort of some of the Reits doing fairly well. First Majestic sort of trickling up, still needs sort of a decent pump to the silver price. That's been pretty flat recently, but not too bad with that. Polymetal, as I say, sort of fairly flat, but been doing well over the last month, so happy with that. Yeah, the Reits, as I say, Realty Income doing pretty well. Can't remember my primary health properties. That's been sort of trickling up. That's a very slow mover, but happy with that. With a bit of sort of healthcare exposure in the UK. Stag, sort of fairly flat, but doing pretty well. Sylvania up 2%, did sort of have a hell of a dip during the week, but recovered that. Rhodium prices sort of taking a bit of a hit, sort of expected to be fairly volatile. Yeah, so that's pretty much the ISA for the week. It's mainly sort of been affected by Argo. Yeah, so looking at the invest account, so done pretty well again, sort of a couple of thousand on this for the week, sort of fairly split up amongst a number of stocks really, a lot of sort of, under 1% movers, maybe 1% movers, but a few have sort of done quite well. You see Archer Daniels and that sort of thing, sort of up and down, maybe 1%. Aviva not too bad. Baidu had a little pump. That's been sort of fairly down recently. Broadcom did quite well for nearly 5%, but that's been sort of knocked about over the last few months. Still fairly happy with that going forward. BT been doing quite well over the last month, but sort of trailed off a little. FedEx still trickling up. I mean, over the sort of 3 months that I've held this, done really well. Still earnings increasing, so happy to hold. Yes, I did sell out of BHP and Diageo. They're still on the watch list. BHP less so. More I look into BHP, not really happy with their sort of commodity spread. They do quite a lot of coal, which I wasn't too keen on at all. Yeah, they do a bit of oil, just sort of not really happy with their spread. I was kind of only really in them for the copper, and you can get copper exposure elsewhere, so sold out of those and bought Glencore, which has done pretty well this week since I bought. They do a lot of nickel and copper, so I was pretty happy with them. And I sold out of Diageo. It's a very strong company, but just sort of seemed to be basically pricing in, full opening from the pandemic, and sort of basically their most premium valuation they've been at for quite a while. So they're sold, and I may buy in later on if they come down a bit or earnings increase. So yeah, I'll come back to what else I bought with those. That was about 3,500 in sales. Yeah, so mostly flat there. The METF's done pretty well. Global clean energy sort of trickling up, but that's obviously been knocked. Still 13% down on that. Kiers up 4% this week, not too bad. Still kind of thinking I think I'm past the date that the Reits issue date has gone past, so I'm not taking that up. I'm just going to hold. Didn't really want to be putting in another £700 into this. I was kind of thinking sell it, to be honest. As I say, it's over 100%, and it's not a super long-term hold, so yeah, I'll just leave it. Yeah, Kroger's pretty flat. Legal & General's pretty flat. Renault had a good week. It's sort of been knocked over the last month, but starting to come back. So pretty happy with that. Lockheed sort of not doing too well. Micron up 4%. Again, sort of had a bit of a knock over the last month. Nintendo doing pretty well. I think the Switch Pro rumours are probably just starting to kick in, and people anticipating that. Porsche up 6% for the week. It's pretty good. I think the sort of competition for Tesla is coming in. There's a load of grants from the US now coming in. I need to look into whether Porsche, sort of VW, will get a great deal of those credits. I can't remember how much they manufacture in the US. So if you make a car in the US now, you get you already got 7,500 in EV credits. They'll now get another 2,500, and if you're unionised as a workforce, then you get another 2,500. So that's sort of Joe Biden's thing. So he's pushing that, and that sort of helps the legacy automakers, really. Process sort of trickling up. Raytheon doing pretty well. Again, just sort of reopening, recovery, as far as I'm aware. Renault had a good week. Still sort of didn't quite buy this at the low, obviously. But yeah, fairly happy with them. Rio Tinto, sort of fairly flat. Shell, been sort of knocked a little bit. They've had a government ruling that they've got to accelerate their decarbonisation. So they've got to reduce emissions faster than previously anticipated. So I think this is sort of causing a bit of a knock, probably thinking they'll have to shut down more oil over the years and move into renewables quicker. So maybe not what they'd originally planned. So that's taken a bit of a hit. Sega yeah, this is a lesson in Japanese equities on Trading212, I think. Sort of bought in. Yeah, it was, as far as I'm aware, about 330, the price said. I bought and it spiked up to 370 and then came back down again. So put £1,000 in from the BHP and Diageo sale, and I was almost instantly 13% down. So yeah, I think probably this sort of thing would be ones to buy on IG maybe down the line, just because you get a quoted price rather than just letting Trading212 do their thing. So yeah, not very happy with that. I wanted to buy Sega, I was quite happy with them, but yeah, now I need a sort of 13% recovery just to break even. So yeah, win some, you lose some. And bought into Seneca Foods. Yeah, quite happy. They're sort of mostly a vegetable company. A lot of sort of distribution, very high sort of volume for their market cap. They're 418 million market cap, but they do 1.3 billion in revenue. Seem fairly cheap, sort of fairly growing company. I think they're sort of doing a few buyouts of smaller companies and that sort of thing, growing their own revenue. Not too much history on Trading212, but yeah, I was pretty happy with them. Not necessarily going to spike up, just more of a sort of food commodity type investment, a bit like Archer Daniels, but just on a smaller scale. So pretty happy with them. Sony taking a little bit of a recovery after their drop. Stellantis, so yeah, 5% up. This is part of the sort of Biden EV tax credits. I think they're a big beneficiary of this. So Chrysler, sort of, I think this is more on the Chrysler side, sort of built in the US, and yeah, they should do well out of that. So 7% up on them now, pretty happy. TSMC 5% up this week, doing pretty well. Turtle Beach was a surprising one, 11.4% on the week. Haven't seen any sort of huge news that would cause this, sort of releasing some new products, but it's not a huge launch. So yeah, doing more digging to try and find out what caused this, but doing pretty well on that, 20% up already. Tyson down a little. And Vale, so this was almost the direct replacement, really, them and Glencore for the BHP sale. So Vale they're the biggest nickel miner in the world, which I think nickel should be doing pretty well with EV demand and sort of general demand, commodity rises over the years, and they do a lot of steel. They do have a small amount of coal, similar to BHP, but they seem to be reducing it. So yeah, you get copper, nickel, and steel. They're still mostly steel, but I think as nickel prices increase, that should be a larger part of their revenue. So yeah, between them and Glencore, I think I'm happier than with BHP. So they've done pretty well. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Volkswagen sort of had a similar week, obviously, to Porsche. Porsche done slightly better. Beatrice pretty flat for the week, but up 12% on that. So pretty happy. And the video gaming ETF is sort of bouncing back a little after the lull. But yeah, so pretty good week all in all. Not going to be any big deposits for a little while crypto is in the lull. But yeah, steadily going up without any deposits. I might be putting in some sort of smaller, £1,000 say deposit just from salary, but yeah, at the moment, it's just the portfolio doing its thing. So leave your thoughts in comments below and like and subscribe. See you soon.